break. We are back. So let's recently, you read a blog post by our mutual friend Nick Diodato, who's the guy who runs, for all intents and purposes, runs the 4Ds program now at VaynerMedia. And he wrote a blog post, and you took it to heart.
I did.
And Corey and I were sitting here one day, and we were talking about, we put an app on my phone to track our social media activity and where we're getting our followers from and our likes and our comments. And it shows who unfollows you. And I'm sitting there on my phone, and the minute, it literally happened within seconds. You unfollowed me, and we were talking about you. And I'm like, I got to find out what this is all about. I figured maybe it was an app or some kind of thing you were doing to help build your audience. And Corey pointed it out to me, what you did. And you actually wrote a piece on it as well. You recently have unfollowed every single person. Did you do it on all your accounts or just on the main business account?
So I just did it on my Instagram account.
Okay. But you unfollowed everybody.
Yeah, it took me 5 days because Insta kept blocking me.
Oh, because you were doing it so fast?
Yeah, and so I kept getting
Tell
out.
me, share with me what Nick wrote, your interpretation of it, what made you decide to act on that?
Yeah, I'd started to notice in the last few weeks or so, maybe even a bit longer, that I felt like I was losing my creativity around my content. It wasn't coming to me as easily. I wasn't as active, but I was absolutely scrolling more. And I don't really spend a lot of time. I never used to spend a lot of time just scrolling.
So you were consuming more stuff.
I was definitely consuming more than I was.
As opposed to publishing more of your own.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say creating because we both come from that document, don't create world. But.
Yeah. Yep. And there's some things that I create, which are, posts of like, I've learned this message today and I want to share that. So anyway, this was sort of like in the subconscious for me. Then Nick wrote a blog and he unfollowed. I think he did it across everything actually. But anyway, he wrote a blog saying that he went through the stage of looking at, how many followers you have compared to how many you follow. And I know that there was a thing about if you have lots of followers and you don't follow many, that's cool. That didn't really resonate with me, but he talked about how he'd become, his consumption of his content had changed and it wasn't really working for him. And how he'd unfollowed everyone. And I was like, whoa, that's big. Like that's big to unfollow everyone.
Yeah, it rattled me when I saw that you did it.
And I kept thinking about it for days. And I was like, would I have the guts to do that? What does it actually mean? Why would I do that? And I was really thinking about it. And then I started to think about the fact that, I'm just scrolling at the moment. And also I noticed that a lot of stuff that was coming up through my feed was actually not very good for me mentally. And I wasn't really receiving the right things for what I need right now.
For your own personal state of mind.
Yes, for my own personal state of mind. There was too much stuff that wasn't good for me compared to the stuff that is good for me.
Okay.
But it was Nick's blog that made me start to really think about this intentionally. And so then I started to think, I'm a creator and I'm a producer and I want to share through social and I want to get my inspiration and the education that I need, but I don't want this. I've never been into social for just like mind numb, just to not because I don't have anything else to do.
Right.
But I noticed that I was starting to do that. And so I thought I'm going to do this and I'm just going to see, and I love a personal experiment. And so I'm just going to do this and see. And so I started the whole, I'm going to unfollow everyone, and then Insta kept blocking me. And so what occurred through the process of actually trying to do this, so I went, right, I'm going to unfollow everyone. I wrote my blog and then I was about to publish it and then it blocked me. So I'd unfollowed, I don't know, however many. And so then it took me 5 days to finally get my it down to 0 followers. I had 5 more to go and it blocked me for 24 hours. I was just like, oh my God. But when I started, I just went down the list. So I didn't even look at anyone. I just went da-da-da-da-da.
Everybody.
And then I was like, oh my God, this is going to be back and forth for like, I'm going to be stop-start. So then I started to choose. In the last probably 48 hours, I thought, because I started to look at my feed and nothing interesting was coming up. And then I started to notice how often I was referring to my phone and to my Instagram. So I'd be in the middle of working when I was focused and I'd be checking my feed. And so I became really aware because I wasn't getting what I wanted. And then I noticed that I'd unfollowed the people that would want to see,
that you saw value in.
that I saw value in. And so then I was like, this whole thing is just really interesting. And then I was quite curious to see how would people feel if they saw that I had unfollowed them. Like, would they take that personally?
Right.
Would they see that as I'm not interested in your content?
Because you didn't start this experiment by making an announcement about it. You just did it.
I did it, and then I took a photo of the fact that it had 0 followers and posted it with the blog to say, this is what I've done. And the last sentence pretty much was to say, I'm really interested to see now, who do I miss? Who do I not miss? So who do I choose to follow?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens with my content? Am I re-inspired? Am I reignited? And this whole further concept of how do we control the noise? There's so much noise. How do we control the volume, and how do we control the quality? And so I think this is a much broader, and I think about this a lot just in the sense of living in Manhattan, the noise alone, but looking at, wow, I was mind-numbingly scrolling, so why am I doing that? What am I trying to get away from? Like, where's my mental state if I'm doing that? What is stuff that's coming into my brain that I shouldn't be coming into my brain and that I don't need right now? And where is my creativity gone? So this happened 2 days ago, and I've only followed, like, the first 2 people I followed was my 2 eldest sons.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, so much talk these days about how bad social media is and blah blah blah. And I'm a big supporter of social media. It has enabled me to build relationships I never would have been able to build. It's given me the opportunity to learn things, keep connected with my friends, particularly with my children. They are experiencing this journey of mine because they can watch it through social media. There's so many things that I love about it, and for me, it's never been a negative thing because I haven't allowed it to, because my view is it's for those that feel that it's really negative, it's exactly the same as if, for some people alcohol is really negative because it controls them. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. So alcohol doesn't control me. I choose if I want to have a drink or not, and whatever. Same with social media. But I understand that for some people
it can become an addiction.
It can become addiction, and you have to work on that. But this was really about the fact that more so than anything, that I felt that there's stuff going into my brain and my creativity has significantly reduced. My spark had started to dim through social, and so that's why I did it. And I thought once I had posted my blog and I'd taken the photo of the 0 followers that I would get straight back into like following, the key people or the people that I'm close to, that I like consuming their content. And I've sort of just gone, oh yeah, I'm okay right now.
Good.
And so I literally look on my phone and I look at 2 posts and it's like, you're up to date now.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, so now what do I do? Oh, I might create something. I might share something.
Wow, I have time again.
Yeah, and I want to share something. So it's like I want to add to this rather than just take from it. And so only a few days in, but I do think this experiment is actually just the beginning of something, a much bigger learning.
It's borderline terrifying, but at the same time, I completely get where you're coming from. And in listening to you talk about how the lack of noise now is giving you that time for that opportunity to be creative again and say, why did I start doing this in the beginning? Circle back around to this experiment of yours in a couple of weeks, whether it's over the phone or face to face again, because I think we need to study that a little bit. And Corey and I were talking. I would love to get into the office in the city, and it's part of what we're working on, and bring the studio with us, mobile, and have the conversations with Corey and Jason and whoever else is around from that I hate to use the phrase inner circle, but from that
the
40s world. Yeah, that family. And have the conversations. And I've invited D-Rock, and he says, listen, if I'm in New York, I'm more than happy to pop in, but I can't promise you an hour of my time. And I respect that. But I would love to sit down and hear Nick's take on it versus yours, and how you interpreted his thought. And how you both had what the outcome was for each of you. Not necessarily in that it's black and white, a win-loss or what it did, but what opportunities, what chances, what scenarios were created as a result of you doing this.
Yeah, and I think if I was to predict something now, I think it will have absolutely nothing to do with unfollowing people on Instagram.
It wouldn't surprise me the slightest bit.
This is so much more of a what am I really trying to do here?
Who are you really? What are you trying to accomplish? And it goes back to what's your why. Yeah, I love it. Let's talk about the state of social, what you're doing. I mean, we're both considered narcissists by many people because of the fact that we've got 3 guys with cameras around us today, and there's only 2 of us here. But we know better. We understand the reason why we're doing it. Tell me what you're working on. I mean, you have your blog, The Unconventional Life. Mm-hmm. You have pretty decent sized following on your Instagram account, and you're putting content out there to bring value to other people. But give me an overview of what social media, what you're doing with it, what your intentions are, what you're looking to have happen as a result of it.
Yeah. Well, there's probably 2 elements. So firstly, back about 6 years ago, my business in Australia, What's Next, we decided to implement a social media strategy. And at that point, it was not very common, and we went down a Twitter strategy for our consulting firm, and especially in the space of HR or people management consulting, no one was doing that. And we were a very small team, and we didn't hire anyone externally, and we just started following people and engaging on Twitter. And we ended up building this global brand, which actually blew my mind. And it created a number of things. So one was we went to a conference, the largest HR conference in the world is here every year in America. There's only 5 locations in the US that can house the amount of people. They get 20, 30,000 people. And we turned up, little team from Australia, and we had these T-shirts on with our Twitter handles, and, and we had people lining up to want to meet us because they had been engaging with us or following us on Twitter. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I thought, whoa, this social media thing is like pretty
So you saw the follower count go up, but you had no idea what kind of impact you were having.
Oh, totally. Okay. And it wasn't until we went there and people were like fanning us, and they literally were lining up. And this is a HR conference. Like, we're not talking rock stars.
Right.
This is not. Right. And I was like, whoa. And so that happened. Then we had a situation where one of our junior employees happened to be engaging on Twitter as per, because all the staff have social media KPIs. They have to tweet a certain amount of times a day. They have to all write a blog a certain amount of times a month. They have to do LinkedIn, a whole lot of stuff. So big KPIs around social media. And one of our junior team members connected with someone, was engaging with them, which we then went on to win as a $100,000 client. And then I went, whoa, we just won a $100,000 client because one of our junior employees was tweeting. And I thought, oh my gosh, now this changes the game, because no more sales teams, no more only these high-level people can get clients. It just opened my eyes. And then we started to have more and more things like those 2 things happen. And we had not spent any money other than the time of the team. So we had Twitter time. We called it Twitter time, but we did all social media twice a week together, and then they had their KPIs and we implemented that. And then I started doing talks on what we'd implemented, because we knew nothing about social. We had not invested in an external social media team or consultant. We just started doing, and it just had this massive flow on. Now, that was quite a few years ago. So that was sort of like, whoa, this is really, really powerful. So that's the story of What's Next. And, they still, to this day, we still have Twitter time. We still, all the same things, all have KPIs.
Okay. So that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. And what's been interesting is that every single person that has come into our business has learnt about social media. So you can imagine someone goes through college to be a HR professional, and then they get a job, and one of their major KPIs is to be on social media. Yeah, so that was very interesting for clients and the community and external companies to go, one, you're a HR company where most HR people are writing policies about how do we get our staff off social media. Mm-hmm. So then I was able to talk in the media about the fact that we are trying to I'm actually getting cross at my staff if they're not on social media, and we're in an industry where my competitors are writing policies to get staff off social media.
Complete 180 from the norm.
Complete 180, particularly in our industry. And I was like, you people do not understand the opportunity. If you have a 50-person office, you have a 50-person marketing team, and you're paying recruitment fees when you might not need to. You're paying advertising or whatever it may be, and it's engaging. And if you've got a team of millennials, like this is even better. Like people were so caught up in my space around we have to get people off social media in the workplace, and for us to be doing the opposite was quite unconventional.
Was the goal of all these other companies to get them off social media because they're on there wasting time?
Well, that was the...
is that the logic?
Yeah, that's what people think.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you're on Facebook, you're on work time. And so we were like, no, let's stop focusing on telling people what they shouldn't do and creating policies around stopping people from doing stuff. And let's actually just put that aside, because humans are humans, and really,
Gotcha.
What's the difference?
Okay.
Let's look at this opportunity around social. And so at the time, it was like, what? Hang on a minute. You're promoting stuff on social media. You've made it a KPI. Like, I remember pulling the team together saying, guys, you're not meeting your social media KPIs. In relation to my personal social media, I thought a lot about this, and I thought about, what's the purpose? And with the vlog, a lot of people have said to me, what's the return on the investment, right? Heaps of people have said, what's the return?
We hear it every day. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, where's the ROI? How much does it cost you? How many clients have you won? It's like, nothing. Like, I've got no return on investment other than I have, because I've built amazing relationships and I'm learning a lot and all those things. But as far as what they think, have you won any clients? And it was never about that. So I believe that there will be enormous return on investment as an entrepreneur long term, whether that be around opportunities to speak, whether it be opportunities to invest in businesses, to advise, to whatever. So I think every single entrepreneur, CEO, business owner should be building a personal brand.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take 5 years for me to know how it all plays out. And so it is one of those things where it's an investment up front. But what I've noticed, and when I was at the 4Ds reunion the other day, and someone who'd actually just did theirs the day before, and he said, what's your return been? And I said, I don't know. And he said, what do you mean you don't know? And I said, well, I'm just doing. I'm learning. I'm just doing. And and he said, what's your number one goal? And I said, to just keep putting content out there. Because every time we do a vlog, every time we film, every time we edit, I learn something. I learn about, what am I trying to do here? And does that even matter? Yes, it matters. No, it doesn't matter. What could this be? What's resonating? Like, the stuff that resonates is always different to what I expected. How I feel about it has different to what I originally expected. The whole process is just an incredible learning.
It's eye-opening.
It's really eye-opening. You learn. It's an incredible thing, and I am such a believer in the vlogging, what you're doing. And I particularly am interested in, I think there's enormous opportunity for those people that are in really boring industries to be vlogging.
Yeah.
Because there is something really interesting about within the boring.
On the other side of the wall from us, for us who are the vloggies or whatever the hell you want to call us, is boring. And
yes.
It's why I said to Corey last night, and I said today, I'm going to get on that phone and I'm going to be on that coaching call for an hour and a half, and I'm going to do paperwork for an hour and a half today. And maybe it's time to start saying, hey, we'll look at the camera and say, this is what I'm doing. Have the brilliance of the editors go in there and say, here's the running clock and time lapse, and we spent 45 minutes doing paperwork. Happy, happy, joy. But it you have to show the dirt.
I agree.
I took a question I wrote earlier. Who do you choose to follow and why?
Yeah. So I follow Tom Bilyeu, and the reason, so I love his impact theory. I really love the people that he finds. I love the fact that he's so open with saying that his goal is to live forever, and the fact that is so ridiculous in a sense, and he says it so like, this is what I'm working to, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to work on how do I live forever. And I think, gosh, that takes such guts to say something that everyone could say, you're a nutcase. Like, what? I mean, why would you even say that? What's
wrong with being a nutcase?
Totally. And I just love his gumption around that. And also, he's introduced me through impact theory to so many stories and learnings and people that I would never, ever have known about. And he has an incredible way of bringing stories out of people that unless have an interest in that particular field, you may never have known. So I really love his stuff, and he's getting more and more vocal about, the reality of entrepreneurship and chasing your dreams and all those sorts of things. I really like him. Obviously, I follow Gary with everything he does, and D-Rock, and I'm particularly interested in the VaynerMedia team. And I'll go back to when you were talking at the very beginning about 4Ds and how you get to connect with the people behind the scenes. And we are, I know we all feel like we are part of the Vayner family.
Yep.
And even though we're not actually employed by them, we're all one. And one of the things that I've found is that everyone there is so such an incredible person. They want to help you. They'll do anything for you. They're really smart. They're experimenting. They're learning on the job and then sharing it. Goal is to be the best possible entrepreneur, mum, person that I can be. By no means perfect, because I want to try everything. So I'm going to fail consistently, or I'm going to stuff up or make mistakes and say the wrong thing or hurt someone or whatever. But none of it. My goal is to be the best I can be, and with great intentions. But if you want to really get on the court of life, you're going to fuck up and you're going to hurt people, or you might make a mistake that's not right. But if the intentions are good. But otherwise, you can sit on the sidelines and you can point your finger at everyone else and say how everyone else is doing the wrong thing and you're not, because you're not doing anything. I don't want to be that person. So I'm very much like, how do I be the best mum, the best person, the best entrepreneur, but at the same time be totally okay with myself for getting it wrong and being able to say sorry, whether that to be to me or someone else.
It's becoming cliche, but it's more, the process and the journey are always going to be more important than the destination. I think more and more that is becoming the reality for the majority of people.
And which is why we need to not be so critical of others and be forgiving. We are all just trying to get through, and we'd all in my space of working in workplaces, we've done so many mediations and issues with workplace conflict, like thousands of them. And never once have I gone into a workplace conflict situation where someone has deliberately tried to upset someone else. For the one reason of, I'm going to ruin your day.
Right.
For no other reason other than to ruin your day. It's never the case. It's always because, I'm threatened because you're going to get the promotion, or I've got stuff going on at home. And yes, the behavior is not how we should behave, but it's never because someone's deliberately trying to hurt someone else. So let's all realize that if we can just be a bit more forgiving and realize that we're not perfect, and that when that person pulls out in front of you, perhaps don't smash them, because have you ever accidentally pulled out in front of someone? I have, and I think if we can just be a bit more like, well, we're all just human trying to do our best, and there's not that many out there that are deliberately trying to upset us. Totally.
Sal, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I'm blessed to be able to call you a friend. I appreciate your willingness to share your kindness, all the good things that you bring to the table, and I appreciate that feisty attitude that you bring to it as well. When I try to surround myself with talented, smart people in business. And again, not to come across as chauvinistic, but when I see you sit down there's a hashtag that another friend of mine uses all the time, Boss Babe. And I truly believe that you are the epitome of what I understand that to be.
Wow.
I'm here as a resource for you. If there's ever anything we can do to be of value to you, know how to find me. You've got the bat phone number. Please do it. And just keep doing what you're doing and doing the great work. And let us know what we can do to be of more help to you.
Thanks, man. You're the best.